Hi, I'm Vicki. Thanks for joining me today.
So today we're looking at the Zig Clean Colour Brush Markers by Kuretake. And I have this set here, which I loved the look of because of the colours. So this is the 30 set. So this is the 30 set A, Zig Clean Colour Real Brush Marker Set. And cool and warm, and that's how I like to store them. And I made the labels with my brother Touch label maker. Now I use this for marking out all of my art supplies because I have a big storage area next to my art studio. Okay, shadow pink, blossom pink, dark blossom pink. Then we have deep vermilion, Bordeaux red, dark peony, light red grape and deep red grape, purplish grey, plum mist, dark yellow, smoky yellow. We have sand, mocha brown. We have aquamarine blue, smoky teal, dark agate, evergreen, moss green, green grey, smoky olive, dark green, warm grey 3, warm grey 4, warm grey 5, warm grey 6, 2 cool greys 3 and 6. So they are the colours. Now, I think there are too many reds. There's only 2 colours here that are in the yellows, and they're murky yellows. There's a dark yellow, which I would say is a greenish yellow. The smoky yellow is a greenish yellow. I would have liked to have seen some clearer yellows, specifically if you're doing florals. Lots of pretty greens. I would have liked to have seen another blue and maybe a clearer red, but you know, they're really nice colors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to compare the Zig Clean Brush Markers to, so I'm going to go with the Cool Grey 6, which is this one down here, and I'm going to compare this to the Tombow marker, which is the dual tip marker. So this has a brush tip and a fine tip, and the Fudenosuke brushes. So we've got this one, Fudenosuke, which is that calligraphy pen, and I also have the blue. So we're going to have a look at those and see how they compare in terms of your calligraphy. So I've gone through and already done some comparisons. So we have the Zig Real Brush Markers with an upstroke. So your upstroke is this stroke here. Let me show you the upstroke. I'm a left-hander, so I have to turn my paper, but the upstroke is a light stroke going all the way up. And you can see it's quite wobbly. I found it was quite wobbly doing these strokes, whereas with my pencil, I could just go straight up. It was easy. Now the downstrokes were easier than the upstrokes. You can see there's a couple here where I missed the line, there, and there. I had trouble starting exactly on the line. So you can see they're not as simple as they first may appear. I used a pencil for these others. This was a 2B, I had no problem with an upstroke. 6B, no problems. 6B downstroke, no problems. Then this is again Zig. This is the Zig again, Zig and Zig here. And you can see, still not meeting the top, you know, and a little bit like missing some parts in the middle. Downstrokes were easier. These 2 are weird. And then I tried again because I really wanted to have another practice with the upstrokes with a really light touch, and it just disappeared completely. So for calligraphy, for me, these don't actually work as calligraphy pens. I prefer them as, this is a 4B pencil, easy peasy. Although I did make a very bad line there. That one's not very good. But I was getting to the bottom of my paper and I'd run out of line space. So I'm going to show you some of these using some of the strokes that you need. So I'm going to use the basic upstroke and the downstroke, and then I'm going to add this little combination of both upstroke and downstroke, and we'll see how that goes. So first I'm going to do it in pencil just to warm up my hand and to show you what it looks like in pencil. Now this is the curved upstroke. So here we go, slowly going up. And I am by no means an advanced calligrapher. I have done some calligraphy with TheHappyEverCrafter. I did her program, Show Me Your Drills. I highly recommend it. It is a free resource. She is so generous with her time in that program. I would recommend it to everybody who is starting with calligraphy. So I've got some curvier ones, some not so curvier ones, and just taking that slow, steady upstroke all the way through. Add a downstroke. Before I do the downstroke, I'm going to do this with my Zig marker. Now let's have a look and see how this goes. So same again, and I'm turning my paper because I am left-handed. Now it's very hard to get a super fine line. You see how it gets thicker and thinner? It's almost impossible to make a thin stroke. So let's have a look at the Tombow Brush Tip Pen, which is recommended, one of the pens Becca recommends for beginners. It's a very light stroke. Again, it's not, and this is an old pen, you know, it's not a new one. If you had a new one, it would have a finer nib on it. Again, it's not very fine for the light upstroke, not very fine. So I'm going to use my favorite. This one is running out. This is the Tombow Fudenosuke, and it's an easy beginner's tip. So I have the Artline calligraphy pens. I have these in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we're looking at maybe a 2-stroke in this, the pen is quite different. This has, oh, we'll get the bigger one because you can't see this on camera. This will show it better on camera. You can see it has a thick stroke and a thin stroke. So this one is a true calligraphy pen where you can do your thin stroke going up and you can turn, so you're going to turn it around and you can do your thick stroke coming down. So then you turn it back again, so turning back, thin, down, thick. So this is what a true calligraphy pen is like. So it has that. You can see the tip of the brush there, the thick stroke, and if I turn it there, you can see it has the thin stroke. So you need to do this action when you're doing your letters, and that's okay. If you were really seriously into calligraphy, you'd probably have a dip pen, to be honest. So let's write all these down. So this is Artline calligraphy. And this is a 4.0. This is Tombow dual tip. This is 3B pencil. Come back in with a real brush marker. I can't get really fine lines. You can see they're not really fine and they're quite wobbly. And they can get quite thick. So this is Zig Real Brush. Now the tip on this Zig is a nylon tip. So you can see the tip there. So what I'm going to do now is try the downstrokes. So these are all upstrokes. Let's do the downstrokes and see what happens. So I'm going to start with my 3B pencil again. So I'm going to do downstroke, downstroke, downstroke. So with a pencil, you don't get that beautiful, this is 3B pencil, you don't get that beautiful thick line. So now we're coming back to the Tombow and we're going to go downstrokes. Let's try the downstrokes. Nice thick downstrokes. This does beautiful downstrokes. Tombow dual tip. This one's your calligraphy pen. We just do the downstrokes, and we have to make sure that it's facing the right direction. This is a beautiful pen, I have to say. That is a beautiful pen. So let's do our Zig Real brush, try and get our downstrokes. So would I recommend this for calligraphy? Absolutely not. So I would say give this a miss for calligraphy. So I'm going to use the Fudenosuke brush. So let's mix this one up. So you've got your upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke. Fudenosuke. I'm not sure about the spelling. Calligraphy. Pen. So you can see this is not going to work. You've got your very sketchy up lines, you've got your sketchy down lines, not recommended. I'm just putting on there that has the blue barrel, because one is soft, one is not. So this gives you a tremendous amount of control. And I like it because it's the one brush. So, and I don't have to do this movement, which I have to do with the calligraphy pen. So this one, to my mind, is a fabulous one to have. The Tombow is quite nice. Let's try this one with some upstrokes. You can't get very fine lines, but if you're confident, you can get really fat lines. So you can see the difference there. You've got your ups, then your down. But you can't really get a fine line, particularly after you've used this for a while. It's not going to work for you. I've had this as an old pen, so it's quite worn out. Okay, so definitely my top brush is the Fudenosuke Tombow calligraphy brush. It does come in a black barrel as well. So there are you can get a 2-pack. These I would recommend, absolutely. If you don't mind the idea of turning on its side, the 4.0 calligraphy pen will start. You just have to line it up before you start. So let's have a look at this one again. We'll go up, then turn and come down. So it's quite clunky in that, you know, I mean, I'm not very good at this. You can see I'm not very good at using this pen. I bought a pack of these, and I think they're beautiful if you are a serious calligrapher, but for somebody who just wants to be able to write a few messages, it works beautifully, but it's clunky. So you've got 2 different movements with this one. And this is a 4-pack. So there's a size 1, a size 2, a size 3, and a size 4. So definitely they're great if you're a serious calligrapher, but if you want an all-rounder, I would go with my firm favorites, which are these 2. And if you're just starting out, use a pencil. So instead of a 3B, you could go way into a softer pencil. So you could go into something like a 7B, a really soft pencil, which will give you a gradation of lines. So we look at a 7B pencil. We come up here. And you can get soft lines and thick lines. You can see how you can get a real variation just by the way you press. So with a really soft pencil, this is the cheapest way to get started. So I think I've got everything covered there. So this is what, would I recommend these? No, I would not. I would recommend them for drawing with, and I'm going to do a drawing tutorial and show you what I think of the colors and how we can do some sort of crafty leaf making. But for me, for my liking, this doesn't work for me and this doesn't work for me. where I can't really even guarantee I'm going to get a thin line. But if you really want to get some nice writing done, these were all done using the Tombow brush. I do love the colours. Again, I love the colours of these markers. It's a really nice colour scheme. You can see on the box here that there are some really pretty leaf designs and things you can play around with. The colours remind me a lot of the Daniel Smith colours, the colour scheme. Certainly they are not the quality of pigment that is in the Daniel Smith paints, but very similar colours that are trending at the moment. So you may find that for your work that you like to do. Let's do a little one now anyway and see what we can get out of that. Just before we go, I'm going to do a leaf on some watercolour paper, and I'm going to draw it out with a water brush. I'm going to use some of the greens just to do a leaf. So this one is green grey, and this is how I would use it for my leaf strokes. Again, there's not much ability to control them. You know, I just find this really hard. So I'm going to go back and do double leaves, double sides. They're a bit patchy. This is very heavy watercolour paper. And trying to get a really fine stem in here is going to be tricky, I imagine. I'm just going to see how fine I can get it. It's too fat for me. It's way too fat. You just want to touch the paper. Let's just draw that out with a fine tip water brush. Just give it a bit of water just to reactivate it. Maybe pull out some other lines. Pull some of the colour in, get a few nice bleed marks, which is nice and interesting. So turn this into a watercolour. I find the tip of the water brush is actually an easier tip to control than the Zig tip. So I'm glad I didn't buy the incomplete set. I did like the colours in this though. So I think if you're looking for some colours that are quite trending, you know, you can get some watercolour effects. My overall impression of this was that I'm not really a fan. So would I recommend these? I don't think I actually would, to be honest. I think certainly don't work for me. For the sort of work that I do. You can see they're patchy. Pulling out these points just doesn't really work. It's just too hard to do. And for me, that's a very laboured look. Even down here, I found it hard to even connect these bits. But yeah, you know, I mean, they're not inexpensive. They are quite pricey. So there's our comparison paper, and really not that happy with them. I hope that review was helpful in letting you know what sort of calligraphy pens I would recommend and what works for me. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you found that review helpful. I was as honest as I could be, and I hope it gives you some insight into good calligraphy pens. Bye for now.